Hello, good morning. Try and start the day happy. Try and get my eyes out of the shadow here. Now that it's darker and cloudy, it's going to be crazy. We're starting to get some possibility of snow again. Halloween looks okay, but snow is coming. So I wanted to talk about the world is crushing us into a choice. Doesn't that sound dark? But let's talk a little bit about it, and then we can start to see what feels real for you. So here's an example. So I do IT work. I'm an engineer, and still some IT work kind of trickles in. And I've got an older couple that are probably in their probably 70s, and the husband is very particular about everything working, and he's accepted technology into his life, iPhones and iPads and all this kind of stuff, and it's beautiful. But when it breaks, holy cow, it sends him into a rage. And I don't blame him. I started to, like everything time something changes, he turns off all the updates and all this kind of stuff because he can't find anything. And then he gets mad. And like ragey mad. And then wants to just smash everything and throw it in the garbage and buy new ones and stuff, which I fully and completely understand and respect. Even in IT, my job is to figure out how to get things back to the way they were before. And a lot of times with all these security updates and all this kind of stuff, Microsoft, for example, just made a change where email can't be logged into in an old way. So it breaks a lot of the setup. So a lot of the stuff that was set up 3, 4, 5 years ago, all of a sudden is no longer permitted because of security. So you got to delete all the accounts and then re-engage them, but you got to have the latest version of the software update. And it makes this like never-ending lockstep of compliance, of keeping up to date, of change, of forcing change, etc. And especially if you're an older person, can you imagine like having an older person get Windows 11 all of a sudden after having Windows 7 for a while? Where's everything? What's gone? All this kind of stuff. So, but this is a good example of the density, the densification. So this world and this reality is the sum result of tens of thousands, if not hundreds, if not millions of years of human evolution. And if you follow some of the stuff around how the DNA was messed with and other things, it was to densify the human population. Some talk about the Anunnaki, and then the humans were to be gold miners, and they were just bred for simplicity and this kind of stuff. So a lot of the genetics were taken away so that we didn't have power. Well, that happened. And then look at things. So if we look back, so we watch on TV and we looked at the old time of kings and kingdoms and barons and fiefdoms and all this kind of stuff where the small people were beholden to the king. They had to pay taxes. They had to rent their land, and they had no power, or their power was taken from them, or even the prima nocta, where the king had the first night with the wife, and all these really controlling, nasty things. And if we look forward and we think, oh, how we've evolved, what you're going to find is that those things have been hidden. They're buried underneath. Those things are still happening. Who's our kings? Who's the ones that are taking everything? Is an Elon Musk or a Jeff Bezos or the Queen of England or the Pope or whatever, not the kings at the very top of the pile? The king of almost everything is religion. A good example of religion. So I grew up Catholic, so I can speak really cleanly about this. But back in the time of the kings, like we were talking about, religion became powerful because they began to demand things like confession. Can you imagine what confession would do to give blackmail evidence over a king? If a king was forced to say that he had sex outside his marriage with a commoner or other things, all of a sudden all the power that the king had would be taken away by the priests. And you see them represented in all our old movies and stuff like that, is these dark figures, these cardinals and other things, because yeah, they were taking control, they were taking taxes, they were tithing, they were all these things, all in an effort to kind of shrink people down and take away things. Look at some of the sexuality stuff that happened back with religion. It was illegal to, it was a stonable offense to give yourself your own pleasure. You didn't have, and you didn't have birth control. You had no way of controlling the size that your family would grow to. It took the power away from the woman and the man and gave it to the church. And then it was like, okay, well, you can't have pleasure, you can't have fun. Well, if you're not having pleasure and not having fun and you're toiling in the farm all day long and feeding the kids and all this kind of stuff, guess what? Massive control. That's when the control started. And then tax it on top and make the king take more money and steal your land, or take your wife on your wedding night, or other things. It just creates a rage and a frustration and all these things. And these things are still going on. But now they're coming into the light, and it's got so controlling. It's to the point where you can't even get proper news anymore. The news is manipulated. All the kings and all the people at the top, they own the news media, and they're choosing what's stated, and they're twisting reality and truth so that we wake up. We're getting more and more frustrated and angry and tight in our nervous system. And we now are faced with a choice. Do I continue these things, or do I stand up? Do I stand in my power? Do I give my power away by paying taxes and being compliant with laws that make no sense and don't help me? They help someone else or whatever, or that our politicians are not even doing what we're asking. They get in and then they collect money and they end up not doing any of it. Or look at the laws that have been written in, some of the emergency standards and all these things that were written into the laws quietly before all this happened, took away all our freedoms. Hey, you got to stay at home. This is a medical emergency, blah, blah, blah. Look at how the control is happening. Look at the frustration you have. Look at gas prices. Look at inflation. Look at the fact that wages aren't going up. All these things are crushing us. But not crushing us to hurt us, to harm us, but they're getting us to make a choice. It's like, frick, anybody can change the price of anything if they want to make a profit. I can see stuff that I used to love. I used to love this chicken stuff from a place called Jollibee. It was $10 for 3 pieces. And now it's over $13.50, I think it is, for the exact same thing in less than 2 years. That's not inflation at all. That's rape as far as I'm concerned. People are getting frustrated. They're getting ready to stand up. They're standing up in their energy. They're saying no more. This is awakening. This is the process of awakening. Look at how much muck has been encased on us and how many chains we have in our body. Oh, you got to have a job. Oh, have you ever got a raise and thought you were making it best? I went from like basic to 6-figure income as an engineer, and I went into management and all this kind of stuff. The biggest raise I ever got, all of a sudden I went into a 55% tax bracket, just perfectly designed to keep me in slavery. Who would want to give up half their money? Most people don't realize that this is the way the tax system is designed. So you get up to that level and you're working your ass off and you actually make less. And why is it designed that way? Oh, it's that king. Oh, it's that king trying to take as much as they can, but keep you working hard and chasing and all this kind of stuff. Now we're not chasing anymore. We're sitting back and we're saying, no more. That's what we need to do. This is the awakening. This is the ascension. This is us cracking off all the muck and all the crap and then breaking the chains off and saying no more. And then joining up with other people and saying no more. And eventually we get to the point when enough people say no more that the system breaks. And that may sound scary, but that's exactly what we're going towards, is if the system breaks. What happens when money implodes? Because we see it. There's so many. The back a few years ago when the credit crisis happened and all this kind of stuff, there were all these things called derivatives that was just fake money that didn't even exist. And there's more fake money, I think, now in the system than there is real money. And the whole system is crashing because all these people that own the fake money are railing to ensure that it's honored as much as real money. So it's completely and totally diluted the whole monetary system. So there's not enough gold in the world to back the money that's in play. So that has to implode. They've tried and tried and tried, and it's failed. So the money's going to implode. It's going to reset to zero, and then it's going to be based on something else. They're talking about cryptos and QFSs and gold standards and silver and all this kind of stuff. As that implodes, what happens? All of a sudden the debt disappears, because that's all funny money again. It's interest. Who charges 20% interest and all this shit on credit cards and all this kind of stuff? It's smashing us. It's a cage. So looking underneath all this stuff, look at it. See how it's affecting your life. See how it makes your choices for you before you even have a choice as a human being. Oh, I got to pay this or else they're going to come after me, or somebody's going to show up at my door and I'm going to be in trouble and they're going to phone me and blah, blah, blah. All fear-based. So how much is light and airy in your life and positive, and you have a choice, and how much is feeding the system? Just sit back and sit with that after this video. Sit in meditation and say, okay, well, feeding the system means I have to pay the car insurance and the registration. I got to pay the mechanic and the gas and the speeding tickets or whatever. And then, I got to have a house. I got to have insurance. I got to pay the water bill and the power bill. Every single thing that we need is taxed. And, it's feeding the system, and, it's keeping the infrastructure up. And some part of it is, but more than half is going into profit somewhere, building wealth somewhere, and stealing your wealth. And there's very clearly documented things. When they took down some of the Vatican, they found 43 quadrillion dollars in gold underneath, in these miles and miles and miles of cavern. Just this disgusting collection of wealth from a church organization that supposedly is barely making by. It's not barely making by. It's been the tax collector at the end of all of it. The Bank of England is in the middle, and then it's the Vatican. So once we start to expose all this stuff, we see the malevolence that's behind all this. There's collection of wealth at that level. There's nothing left to buy. It's all about power and control and making people small, and then crushing them. And it's got out of control. They're crushing us. But now you can see it. Look at all the games that they're playing to crush us even more and take our homes and take all our things. And the light is, we can see it and say, now I see you. This isn't going to happen. And then the shadow, the illusion dissolves. And that's what we're being asked, to dissolve the illusion for us. Change our reality, change our beliefs, change our thoughts. Don't give our power away. Stop chasing and start to be aware. Start to feel in your body. Start to no longer feel lost. And that's the awakening journey. And if you're feeling all those hard pressures and it looks ugly and disgusting out there or whatever, it is. There's light underneath it, though. We just need to see it, expose it, speak it as truth, get enough people that are in density now to start to rise up, and the whole system starts to fill with light. Because it's corrupted and it's falling apart right now because of us, because of the people that are starting to ask for truth, to ask questions, to start to speak like this, and then get people to do the research. I don't want you to just blindly trust me and all this kind of stuff. This information is all out there very clearly in many, many, many places. So, hello, Julie. Nice to meet you. So, what are you doing inside? Are you scared? That's okay. I'm scared too sometimes. You were going up against every fear, everything in the system that's telling us to comply. Don't ask questions. Shut up. Be good. Be part of the sheep or the team or whatever. No. They have got so blindly corrupt. I live in Canada. Our prime minister smashed a group of truckers that basically tried to expose him. And he's still doing it. He's a fascist dictator. And we're sitting here shining, rising up, pushing, exposing, all this kind of stuff by talking, by having discussions like this, by growing the light. And just grow the light. Ask for better. Talk to people about stuff. Get enough people around you that say, holy shit, I see that now. Guess what? If people don't pay taxes, even 1% to 2%, the whole system breaks. In Canada, the whole CRA system is broken from COVID because people couldn't pay their taxes. So many businesses went bankrupt, all this kind of stuff because they crushed They crush so hard, the whole system can't keep up. That's happening everywhere. Look at all these countries in the world that their governments are imploding and their leaders are gone. And what's the latest in England and stuff like that? Their PM has only been there for what, like 2 months, and they're going away. Nobody can stop the crash, the implosion that's happening. So we're just adding to it, shining light into it, shining love into it, not being scared, not being worried, not being running around in a circle. Just love it. Say, okay, I love it. And any chance that you get to stand up against it, say, no, I don't agree. This is bullshit. Stop, shut up, quit, don't try and force me to do anything, because I'm a sovereign being. And once you start saying you're a sovereign being and you get rights and you have a birthright of freedom and pleasure and love and light and all the beautiful things, all of a sudden you just keep choosing it and you keep choosing it. And then the universe is going to bring opportunities for that. You're going to bring people around you that want the same things. The magic starts to happen in the small bubbles, in the small communities. We are the anchors in each and every point that's channeling light into the roots of a corrupted system and eroding it. Because we're choosing better. We believe in better. We see the darkness. We see the depravity of how bad this control is. And now the light is shining. And we're loving. And this is amazing. And we're corroding the system from the inside. And people are popping all around us and angry and triggered and frustrated and stuff because we're shining light and saying truth. And they don't want to see it because it terrifies them, because they've been living in the lie for far too long. So we're the light, we're the love, we're the change, we're the pathfinders. We're finding the way through. We're going the hardest path because there is no path. It's bramble bushes and we're having to chop our way through. But each time we smile, even though we should be crushed, shines light into the world, shines love into the world. That's unconditional love. When you get crashed and hashed and mashed and all that kind of stuff, you still smile at the people that are doing it. It's not turn the other cheek, I'll tell you, by this means, because some people need to be taught, like as a parent, and I'm not talking about violence or whatever, I'm just saying, you will not speak to me like that. This is unfair. Shut the fuck up is a very easy term that will get somebody that's just spewing their shit on you, and they'll be like, what the hell did you just say? And then you walk away. Because the biggest thing that you can say to a person that's lost in their mind is nothing. They will devour themselves in and they'll implode. And that's what they need. People need to pop. People need to have a trigger. People need to have somebody that's going to gently prod. And that's what we're doing. And it feels hard. And it feels like everybody's angry and all this kind of stuff. But you're giving them the most beautiful gift that you possibly could, to awaken them, to get past the bullshit, to not hold them in their conversation and make them explain themselves or try and rail on. No, it's beautiful. We are love. And we just sit there and we love. And sometimes that means triggering the frick out of people. Not even through words sometimes, just our presence. Because we're breaking down that system. And as soon as they get enough out of that caked on muck that's dried in, then they can start to move. Then they can start to say, ooh, wow, there's something bad going on here. Let's see how we can resolve this. So anyways, you're doing the work. I'm glad to see y'all here. I love all the beautiful thumbs ups and smiling faces and all that kind of stuff. Thank you for listening. Keep doing the work. Keep shining. Talk to everybody. Put your Facebook posts out. Send this live out if it seems to resonate. People just need to know. And then we rise up. That's when the magic happens. So I love you all. Have a great day. Keep shining. I know it's hard, but you're doing awesome. See you soon.